the time of publishing this video, if everything went according to plan and just as efficiently as I'd hoped, which of course it did because I'm in ADHD hyperfocus mode, then it is midnight on June 19th, and in 7.5 hours, I will be flying to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and from there going to Porphyry Island, where I'll be spending 2 weeks at an artist residency working on my On the Skin of Giants project. If I was a healthy person, I would be relaxing right now, getting my nice rest in so that I'll be well rested for my flight. But of course I'm not a healthy person, so instead what I'm doing is editing video. Oh, and also what I'm doing is choosing what colors I'm going to put in my palette. That's right, I'm a watercolor artist and I haven't decided what I'm bringing with me when I travel for a 3-week trip to make art for my career. I still haven't decided what I'm carrying paint-wise, because I'm a genius. There is an obvious answer here, of course. I did just release my own watercolor palette, a curated collection of some of my favorite paints from Roman Schmal Aquarius. You can get your own Wild Curiosity palette down in the comments below. Isn't that amazing? I should just bring that palette. But wait. See, I specifically designed this palette so that although it comes in a tin that holds 14 watercolors, I only use 12 of those spaces. So even if I was bringing that tin, it would be silly not to fill those spaces, right? Right. Okay, great. But you know what I don't like? There's just a lot of wasted space in that palette. Sorry. Roman Schmal Aquarius, great paints, palette design, So when I was designing this palette, like when I was choosing the colors, I actually used a different tin. I used this tin by Rosa Gallery. It is a very similar form factor, but instead of fitting only 14 colors, it fits 21. Same size tin, 7 more colors. Obviously, that's much better. Is it really? Do I really need 7 more colors? No, but if I'm only going to be carrying one tin, and it's going to be the same size regardless, I want it to be filled, right? Okay, so that's the tin we're using. Did you think I was kidding when I said I haven't picked my colors yet and it's midnight? Well, I mean, actually, I'm editing this now and it's only about 10 p.m. But for realsies, I am picking my colors now. This is a messy page that I traced some pans on earlier today, and I drew the colors, I filled in the spaces with the colors from the Wild Curiosity palette. It pre-filled them because I am actually going to take those colors as my primary colors, and then I'm just gonna bring some more. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. My very first color is PY150, Nicolazzo Yellow. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Lee Angold, and I am a PY150 fangirl. When I am not building palettes or fangirling about PY150, I also am a botanical and natural science artist, and on this channel, I sometimes share techniques and tips and insights into my daily life as an artist. Yeah. If that's stuff that you're into, hit like and subscribe and ring the bell so that you'll be notified when my next video comes out. And also check out my Patreon down in the description. My next color is PY97, Gamboge Hue. I will be speeding through these initial 12 colors pretty quickly because I've already made a full video making a mixing chart of all these colors and discussing why I put them in my palette. Link up above, so you can go check that out if that's something that you're interested in, or the palette itself is available for sale down in the description below. The next color I'm swatching is PBR24 Naples Yellow Deep. No, there's no rhyme or reason to the order in which I'm swatching things. Sorry. Nope. The next color I'm swatching is DPP, Daiquito Parolo Parole Aquarius Orange, again by Roman Schmal Aquarius. These first 12 colors are non-debatable. For the first 12 colors that I've chosen, these are the colors of the Wild Curiosity palette. I am definitely bringing these colors. I curated this palette. I feel strongly about it, and I'm bringing these. However, I do want you to watch through to the end because the last 9 colors are very flexible. There's quite a bit in here that I would be open to alternate suggestions. Next up, I'm going to be swatching Autumn Green, and before you mention it, yes, I know that I miswrote the pigment code for Cobalt Green. Not only did I do it here, but I also mislabeled it on my palette cover. That is the pigment code for Phthalo Green Yellow shade. I don't know what's going on in my head. I am usually a massive pigment nerd, but my brain just hasn't been working so great recently, so I make these silly mistakes. Next, I'm swatching Cypress Burnt Umber Deep. This is a nice dark deep chocolate brown. The next color I'm swatching is Potter's Pink. This is a color that I hated on first sight, and now I use it in pretty much every painting. It's super duper useful for adding granulation and toning down colors. Love it. And then I follow that up with Indenthrone Blue. This is my choice for a reddish blue. It is really dark and deep and moody, just a tiny, tiny bit muted. Have you noticed the glaring mistake on this page yet? Because I hadn't at this point. Yeah. There are only 11 colors that I labeled. I didn't label the 12th. We'll get to that. Now I'm swatching the Cobalt Sea Blue PB28 Cobalt Sea Blue. This is a yummy, yummy cobalt teal shade. And then I'm going to swatch the Ocean Blue. This is a mix of PBR24 and PB15:3. Really neat, subtle effects paint. And that's it for the Wild Curiosity palette, at least for the next little moment before I realize what I'm doing right. All right, so now here comes the fun part. There are 9 more colors to choose, or rather 9 plus this Perylene Green that I forgot to add. So grab your popcorn, heckle me, let me know what you think of the wacky choices of colors I'm adding, and what you would add instead. All right, so first choice, just because it's fun. Do I need this color? No. Do I want this color? Definitely yes. Am I doubly tempted by this color because the particular pan that I'm bringing already has sand from my last trip to Porphyry Island in it? Definitely yes. So this is Misty Morning. Misty Morning is one of those goofy effects paints. It's made with PG50 and PV19. It starts this sort of mauve color and granulates out into a teal with some pink areas. Very, very fun. Very, very limited mixing capacity. But then, of course, I already have a selection of 12 colors that mix wonderfully. Which means I am looking forward to being quite silly with my choice of the 9 extra colors. Ooh, and no sooner did I say that than I just contradicted myself because my next color is actually just a very practical choice for me. Although it is going to get me some hate from some watercolor purists. This is really a white. Titanium Buff is an unbleached titanium white. And yeah, it's a white pigment. It doesn't really belong in transparent watercolor. You can mix everything by just letting the white of the paper show through, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I know. But I paint a lot of lichen. A lot of lichen. And especially when I'm up north, and I'm painting these really encrusted branches that have tons and tons and tons of lichen. If I build up the colors of this lichen and I layer, I'm gonna end up with some really bright, sort of garish greens that are they're difficult to handle when you're using all transparent watercolors. So one of my shortcuts for painting lichen is to mix. I mix a brighter, more transparent green or teal color, a phthalo, for instance, or any other perylene, and I mix it with buff titanium. And that mutes it a little bit because the buff titanium has a sort of orangey yellow tone to it and just a little bit of grit. And it also makes it nice and even and pastel-y. So come at me. I'm gonna add some buff titanium to my palette. Okay, remember when I said I'm choosing my colors live here? Yeah, that also means that I'm making mistakes live. So first I had my little perylene green mistake, and now I have my next mistake where I've labeled something as PG7 phthalo green blue shade, and it is most definitely not. This is cobalt green. Yeah, this is a cobalt green. It is most definitely not phthalo green. But again, I've got it as a green to mix with my previous titanium buff to make these sort of lichen colors. Oddly, even though these are two very different colors, they work kind of interchangeably. So I went looking for a phthalo green and I got a cobalt green. I'm only using pans that are already full because, again, I'm traveling in 7.5 hours. Ooh, okay. I just had a thought. So while I was swatching that misty morning and commenting that there was black sand in it from my last trip to Porphyry Island, there's black sand beaches, I remembered that there is such a thing as porphyry pigment, and that I probably have a pan of porphyry violet hiding somewhere, and that obviously if I'm going to Porphyry Island I should bring porphyry violet. So I went digging and I found a pan of, I think, Kremer porphyry violet hiding, and I'm swatching it. Unfortunately, this is a lot less saturated than I had hoped. I don't know if it's just because it's super dry. It's been untouched for some time. But yeah, if somebody has some alternative suggestions, should I keep the porphyry violet just because I'm going to Porphyry Island, so I should want to have porphyry pigment for Porphyry Island? Or should I replace that paint with something else? And if so, what? Let me know down in the comments below anytime before 7:30. Or, after. You can hassle me after I've already traveled, and I'll just, have some regrets. Yeah. Ooh, I'm on a roll today with the somewhat controversial choices. I don't know, it's watercolor. How controversial can you get? But I am using PB27 Prussian Blue. I'm adding this back into my palette. So like most watercolor painters who are somewhat concerned with the stability of their watercolors, even though I really desperately love Prussian Blue, it's one of my favorite colors, I have removed it from most of my palettes. Because although it is ranked as light fast by nearly all manufacturers, in actuality, it has some interesting properties where it reacts with air, minerals in the water, and sunlight to do this photosensitive reaction that's actually reversible. So it will fade in light, and then if you put your Prussian Blue paint back in a closet for a long while, it apparently reverses. So it does weird things. And this is definitely a concern for me usually, because usually I paint with groundwater, which has lots of dissolved mineral content, which aggravates the reactivity. However, I'm going to an island in Lake Superior, so that's a giant freshwater lake, very little dissolved mineral content in the water I'll be using, so it should be more stable. Also, I have been painting on panels and then sealing my watercolor paints behind wax medium, which makes them behave like an oil painting because they're not reacting with air. They can't oxidize because there's wax there in the way, no oxygen. So, yeah. PB27 is stable in oil paint because it doesn't have water with all of its dissolved minerals in it, and it doesn't have contact with air to the pigment particles. So, because of those two factors, I'm feeling safe about using Prussian blue and still feeling like my paints are probably... Is that the nerdiest controversy you've ever seen? Well, here's what's next. So, my next paint that I'm adding is, okay, it's a red. And honestly, this is me caving to peer pressure. So, reverse peer pressure it up. I don't feel like I need a red in my palette, but I've gotten some guff about not having a red in my basic palette. I don't really paint reds, but here you go. Here's a red. It doesn't have a pigment code. Quinacridone Scarlet by Roman Schmel Aquarius. It's made with an uncoated pigment, but it is a quinacridone pigment, and it's a sort of scarlet tone. Real pretty. I will happily replace this with anything else because I don't really have a use for this because I don't paint reds, and also because I can mix reds. But since I didn't have anything else better to add to this palette, here we go. Here's a red. What should I add instead? Let me know down in the comments below, or let me know why I need a red in my palette. Okay, I have 3 spots open left in my palette, and I have, 2 spots on my little swatch sheet here, so I'm gonna have to get creative. But while I figure that out, let's keep rolling with the controversial paint choices, because apparently this is what I'm doing today, is courting controversy. My next paint, because I've already got a white, why not add a black? I am using Aquarius Black, and it's a black, but I'm not adding it in order to mix darker colors. I can mix all the dark colors I want. I like using granulating blacks like Aquarius Black in order to add texture to textureful subjects like mosses or rocks or lichen. Do you use blacks and whites in your watercolor paintings? Let me know down in the comments below. Alternately, if you have different suggestions, as always, I am more than happy to entertain all change requests until 7:30 tomorrow morning. And honestly, I'm willing to entertain them afterwards. I just won't actually be able to change them. I'll just experience some regret. So make me experience regret. Go comment down below. Ooh, look, I drew in that missing pan. All right. 2 more colors left to choose. Whatever will I go with? Okay, I'm actually running out of controversial choices. I mean, it's watercolor. Next I'm going to choose something much more practical. I am choosing PB16 Phthalo Turquoise. Again, I have a very similar color in Ocean Blue, but Ocean Blue is an effects paint, while I can use it as a mixing color, it is more practical to have just a non-granulating version. So here we go. Phthalo Turquoise. This goes well with that not a phthalo green shade that's actually cobalt. So now I have a non-granulating option for when I want to create some of those lichen colors. And in this last spot, I considered adding another earth tone because I feel like this is a little bit lacking in the earth tone department. However, that seemed like less fun than adding another granulating effects paint. Plus, I've heard lots of great reviews of Aquarius Green, which I feel like is a color that, although I've had it in a palette for a while, I've never really given it a fair shot. So my last color is Aquarius Green, which is kind of like Roman Schmal's, I guess, flagship color. It's one of the ones that he's most proud of. So let's see what I can do with it. All right, well, that's it. Barring any last minute changes, that is my palette. There's a few things I'm not sure about. I am definitely going to rearrange these into a better layout, but I'm not going to do that right away because I need to edit this video and put it out as soon as possible so that you can tell me what colors I should replace. So, yay or nay? Love this palette or not? Let me know down in the comments below. If you've watched this long, congratulations. Also, you clearly found this content entertaining, so don't forget to hit like. And if you're not already subscribed, hit subscribe, ring the bell so that you'll be notified when my next video comes out. Check my video description where I've got links to my Patreon and Discord where you can hang out and nerd out about pigments some more with me. Or see updates from my trip and the cool paintings that I'm doing. Thank you so much. Have a great day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. Thanks again. Bye-bye.